Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can you please confirm you can hear me? Please confirm you can hear me. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dyer. We can hear you.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. So welcome all to another edition of PR webinar series titled Employee Retention: the World of Work Today. We're glad to have you. We're excited to have you. So welcome everyone. So basically we'll be looking at these objectives. So this webinar will be understanding the key factors influencing employee retention in the current job markets. We'll learn practical approaches to enhance job satisfaction and employee engagement. We'll also discover practical approaches to employee retention in the world of work today. So these are basically what we'll be looking at today. We're looking at employee retention, the benefits, the reality of the world today, traditional approach, downsides to traditional retention approaches, sustainable approaches to employee retention, method of sustainable approaches to employee retention, change of focus, and so these are the things I'll be looking at today during the course of this webinar. So with us, we have two facilitators that will be taking today's today's webinar. So we have Rashida Bello. She's an accomplished professional with a significant expertise in strategic human resource management. She has consistently demonstrated her ability to provide outstanding support to C-level executives while effectively driving various initiatives to completion. Rashida excels in both team setting and individual independent roles, showcasing exceptional skills in communication, presentation, and reporting that are pivotal to organization success. That was Rashida. We also have with us Adewale Fashino. Adewale Fashino is a driven and optimistic human resource professional with over 8 years of experience. He excels in people management and is passionate about helping individuals become their best version and working effectively as a team. Adewale has worked as a human resource generalist at DNA Learning Solutions, coordinating training projects for organizations like Nigerian Port Authority, leading recruitment projects across various sectors. He is currently a human resource consultant at Kimberly, leading the outsourcing and learning and development units and managing employees across 30 states in Nigeria. So these are our facilitators for today who have taken today's webinar. All right, so we want you to be expectant. There's a lot to learn. So just fasten your seatbelt as we take you on a 1-hour journey. Thank you. So employee retention. So the first speaker will be Rashida. Let's welcome her as she comes on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wale. Thank you very much, Dayo, for that wonderful introduction. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our webinar. Today, we'll be looking at a very critical topic in the world of HR, employee retention, the world of work today. But before we dive in, I would like us to imagine a situation or a scenario in our minds. Imagine an organization where its top performing employees stay for a very long period of time. What do you think will be the fate of such an organization? How do you think their employees will relate with one another? How often will this organization experience workflow or cultural disruptions? What will be the impact on their productivity and profitability? I'm sure that in our mind, we would say that this organization will be in a very positive state, right? Okay, so what then is actually employee retention? Employee retention in itself is a business strategy, right? And can translate into enormous benefit, right? Forging ahead, you said that employee retention in of itself is a business strategy, that comes with enormous advantages, right? Employee retention is the process of keeping talented and valuable employees within an organization for as long as possible. It involves creating an environment that encourages employees to stay, grow, and contribute to the company's success. So, just a moment, please. So why do we need employee retention? What's the reason for employee retention? Employee retention comes with enormous benefits, so much so that it can even translate into business competitive advantages, right? But for the benefit of this webinar, we'll be discussing just a few. Firstly, we have cost saving. If we do not have employee retention, what do we have? Can anybody tell us? Of course, if we are not able to retain our people, we will have a high turnover rate, right? And high turnover rate comes with a lot of cost. Imagine the cost of retaining new talents. That's if you are even able to retain the talent in first place, right? And the cost of onboarding them, the cost of training them, making sure that they are well settled in their new role. So employee retention helps us eliminate or helps us reduce how frequently we incur this cost, right? Secondly, employee retention helps us to have a stable and experienced workforce. So long-term employees are already well familiar with the business processes. All right, so we have discussed that employee retention is a business strategy in and of itself, right? We have also said that it's the process of keeping talented and valuable employees within an organization for as long as possible. It involves creating an environment that encourages employees to stay, grow, and contribute to the company's success, right? So I was discussing the benefits of employee retention. Employee retention comes with a whole lot of benefits, so much so that it can even translate into business competitive advantages. But for the benefits of this webinar, we'll be treating just a few. Firstly, we have here cost savings, right? Of course, if we do not have employee retention, what then do we have? We have high employee turnover. An high employee turnover comes with a cost of hiring new talents, the cost of onboarding them, the cost of training them and ensuring that they are well settled in their new positions, right? So employee retention helps us to cut all of these costs or maybe reduce them to the minimum, right? So secondly, we have stable, experienced workforce, right? So when we have employees that have worked for a very long time in an organization, they become more familiar with their company. They are well aware of the company policy, the processes, the aims and objective, the culture. So they have settled and they are comfortable with the organization. And because of the fact that they have done their tasks over and over again, they become experts at what they do, right? They could literally just do their job while closing their eyes, right? So, and this helps us eliminate the time that it's going to require new hires to start to get used or to start to acquaint themselves with the company's overall system, right? And all of this also helps foster productivity and better efficiency. All right. So thirdly, we have strong relationships and great teamwork. Of course, if you have worked with a certain set of people for an extended period of time, right, what that means is that you might have settled disputes and conflicts, and because of that, you are better. Because of that, you communicate better. Because of that, you are comfortable with each other. You know how each and everyone works, and it is so easy for you to increase your collaboration and to ensure that goals are achieved seamlessly, right? As opposed to having to work with new people on each and every project, the tussle, the fight, people trying to understand themselves is going to waste time that could have been spent judiciously, right? Time that can be spent, effectively on achieving these goals that we have at hand. So employee retention helps foster strong relationships and great teamwork. Next, we have profitability, increased profitability. Of course, this is giving itself away. Once you have a company that saves costs, has a stable and experienced workforce, their people they have strong relationships and great teamwork. Of course, this is going to reflect on profitability because productivity will be increased, so is profitability. And lastly, we have better reputation. I'm sure that some of you will be wondering, what's the relationship between employee retention and better reputation for a company? Of course, there is a relationship between it. So what it means is that once a company is able to attain certain level of employee retention, it only means one thing, that they are doing something right? And this sends signals to the public. By implication, such an organization would be able to attract top talent in the public, right? Because of course, everybody wants to work where they are appreciated, where they are treated well, and where there is a certain level of job security, right? And also it translates to your customers as well. Doesn't matter whoever you serve, whether individuals or corporate organization, your customers and your clients will always want to have relationship or business to do with people, to do with organizations that are stable and consistent and reliable as well. So, reality of the work today. This is the crux of the matter, actually. How then are we faring as far as employee retention is concerned? How are we doing? Are we achieving much or are we lagging? We have few statistics here that will be pointing us to how we are doing in the world of work today. Firstly, we have Upstaff stating that only 48% of employees say that they are happy with their current job. That's very alarming, you would agree. We also have Jobberman state that 47% of employees say that they are likely to leave their employers in the next 6 months. Wow. We also have the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria, that tells us that only 11.8% of employed Nigerians are actually engaged at their work. We also have the Harvard Business Review saying that turnover can cost up to 200% of employees' annual salary, depending on the role. This is scary. This is so scary, you'd agree with me. We also have McKinsey stating that high turnover rates can lead up to 20 to 25% decrease in the operational efficiency due to disruptions and loss of institutional knowledge. We also have SHRM that says that it can take new employees up to 2 years to reach the productivity level of existing employees. Now imagine an organization having 2 or more people living at the same time. How much productivity will be lost at this time? Very critical to note. All of this research and statistics point us to one fact, right? It all boils down to the fact that employee retention is a difficult thing to achieve, right? However, it comes to the fact that as well, we need to address it. Despite that it is very difficult to achieve, we need to address it because it comes with serious implications if we do not, right? So in the following slide, my esteemed colleague Adewale Fashino will be discussing some of the traditional methods that has been used over time, the reason why they are not as effective, and some other methods that can be explored in order to address the concerns that we have today. But before we dive in, we'll be taking a quick poll. We need you to answer a few questions, and after that, we'll continue with the session. Thank you very much.
All right, Dayo, I suppose the poll is over now, so we can quickly take a quick dive into what people have said with the poll. Now, please confirm that the poll is over now so that I can just really dive into it.
Oh, yes, it is over.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dayo. And thank you very much, Rashida, for that wonderful session. My name is Adewale Fashino, and quickly we're looking at some very critical things. But before we go in, I would like us to look at the poll that we just took now. I mean, this to inform us on how we are thinking about the poll result again, so that I can be able to see it. I know you brought it up before, so that we can all see what we chose in terms of our thoughts regarding employee retention. And as Rashida said, employee retention is very, very critical to everything. The statistics that you put up were so alarming when you see the figures. And you can just take a quick poll in even your own organization and just ask people randomly, next few years, where do you see yourself? I know several years ago, once you ask where do you see yourself, they'll tell you, oh, I want to be the chief so-so of this organization. I want to be this, I want to be that. But you agree with me that that is gradually failing. And for we, as recruiters, Kimberly, which is what we do, we experience this a lot. Because of interview, when we have people, okay, next 5 years, what are you guys see yourself? Just say that, okay, I see myself out of the country, or I see myself working in a different industry. And you're wondering that, oh, how did we get here, right? So of where we find ourselves, which is what we are doing, what we are talking about today, that how do we manage this reality? Because it's all right. Okay, thank you very much, Dayo, for bringing up the poll again. And if we look at, when we look at the poll, and so apologies for the slight no internet connection, that's the challenge sometimes with us here in this part of the world when it comes to webinars. And that's why I think a lot of executives still prefer the physical class. But then webinars are more, more open and people can join from various sites. So I can see the poll now. Thank you very much, Dayo, for bringing it up again. So if you look at it, the first question was that which of the following best describes the failure of the traditional means of retaining employees? I will still go into more details of what the traditional means are. But you see a lot of people picked 72% chose short-sightedness, which means that a lot of decisions are made regarding retaining employees that are short-sighted. Some said strong employee engagement, some say work-life balance. Okay, let's look at the second question. You say, how best can the failure of traditional means of retention be addressed? And I can see some very interesting responses here. 22% said additional benefit. But does that really work? Additional benefits. Do people really stay because of additional benefits in 2024? Well, we'll look at that. Then 22% also.
Oh, sorry, everyone. There's a break. There's a short break, but Adewale will be back soon. So we apologize for that break. We're trying to rectify the glitch. So please hold on. We'll join soon.
All right, Dayo, thank you very much. Thank you very much for holding forth. And once again, we apologize for this break. And the internet today has just been a very unusual day. So I'm sharing my screen once again so that we can continue the conversation. And I think where I stopped, I was talking about the poll that we just took now. And like I said, the whooping majority actually went for what I believe to be the right thing, right? So I want us to look at the traditional approach to retention, what has been done in the past, or what some organizations are still doing. And number one is when people say they want to leave, the first thing is, oh, how much are they paying you where you want to go? The next thing, well, let us increase your salary. And for us, the HR professionals that are here, you will agree that a lot of times we get our hands burnt here. Because when someone says, I'm leaving, and you increase the salary, you create a kind of imbalance in your system. And other people heard about it that, oh, okay, this person's salary has been increased because he or she said he or she is leaving. So why won't I go and tell HR that I'm leaving? So that maybe when I tell them I'm leaving, they will increase my salary. And we could see a lot of times it doesn't work, especially with the world of work today. Another one similar to is additional benefits. We have cases too. Okay, why we cannot increase your salary, but let's give you more benefit. Yes, the person might even stay 2-3 months after, but you see someone that has made up their mind to go most of the time, I mean, they might go because this is not really the solution. Then the third one I would like us to look at here is workplace intimidation. This is very, very, it's very sad that you see here some organizations still going through this. Meaning that, for example, a young chap might want to leave an organization, and then the manager will tell him, don't worry, I know everybody in this industry. No matter where you go, they will not accept you because I will not write your recommendation. I've been had cases like that, but they tell you that if you leave, when you come back when your new employers come back for previous employers check, we will not grant you such. I mean, this is very bad, and a lot of people still use this, which is workplace intimidation, which I believe that nobody on this call uses this in their own office. All right, so the downsides to the traditional retention approaches, I've already mentioned them, but let me just quickly run through them on the slide again. Number one is that it's focused on short-sighted solutions. So it's just a short-term solution. You just want it better to stay now. So let's increase their salary. They come again after 2 years. I want to go again. Let's increase their salary again. So it doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. Then the second one is lack of personalization, which means that what you now do is that you now start doing an halo effect. Everybody, all the Gen Zs will soon leave. So let us increase all their salaries. Then you are not able to address individual concerns. You are not sitting down with the person to address the particular concern the person has. Then the third one is high costs. Of course, when you are increasing people's salary every time they say they want to go, what you are doing is that you are increasing your overhead costs, and this will tell on your figures as an organization. Then the last one is retention versus engagement. We have to just move beyond just thinking about retention. We have to think also about engagement. So for people to be retained, then they have to work. So our narrative, when we are discussing our boardrooms, in the management meetings, we should think beyond just, oh, how do we keep these people? Because they are not prisoners. You cannot just say you want to keep people. What you can do is, how do we engage these people? Let me repeat that, right? You cannot just say, oh, how do we keep these people? They are not prisoners. They are not keeping them. You're not tying them down. What you want to do is to engage them so that they themselves are willing to stay. So part of the downside is that what we focused on majorly now is on the retention part of it. We now sit down and say, how do we retain these people? What do we do now? Should we increase their pay? Should we do this? Should we do that? Should we not? Should we pay their salaries in 2 installments so that they won't go? They have to wait till the middle of next month before they are paid, then they won't be able to go. So these are some of the things. But I would like us to shift our gaze a little. And of course, the last one, talking about potential for burnout. When people want to go and you are intimidating them, or you are keeping them with increased salary without discussing with them, without fully understanding why they want to go, what happens is that they are burnt out because their mind is still where they want to go. And you agree with me that we might have had situations of employees who have come to meet us that they want to go somewhere, and we tell them, just stay. No, we like you in this company. We have this plan. After 6 months, they come back again. Sir, I know the last time you told me that I should stay, but I still want to go. You know, so these kind of things are what we go on with the slide. I would like to take 1 or 2 feedbacks that in your own organization, whether as an HR leader or as a manager in your organization, how have you handled the case of people leaving the organization? How have you handled this? I would like to take 1 or 2 comments from the participant, please. I would like you can just raise up your hand with the digital hand, I mean, or you can just, so that we can know. Because I would really like to hear, how have you addressed this issue in your own organization? So anybody, please, I would like to hear from us how you have addressed these issues in your own organization. You can raise up your hand using the digital hand, or if you like to talk, please, I would appreciate if 2 or 3 people can just quickly just talk to us. How have you addressed the case of, how have you addressed this in your organization? Okay, I can see one already in the chat box. Pamela is saying that I asked their reasons for leaving. See, I asked their reasons for, so I asked them. What she's saying is that when people want to leave, she sit down with them and ask them, why are you leaving? Don't you like us again? Don't you like our face again? Thank you very much, Pamela. Yes, I would like to take 2 more comments. Maybe you want to speak out, or you want to also drop it in the chat box. How have you been addressing the case of employees leaving in your organization? I'm still waiting.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, hi.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for this. I'll just quickly share. So I don't wait for exit. What I do is what I call, or what is called stay interview, you know, to engage people, to ask them, what would you like to be changed in the system? And I do this across the different levels, because you'll be surprised to see that what an entry-level person or an operative wants is different from what a middle manager wants or a senior executive.
Yeah.
And that has helped us design customized welfare packages and structures or systems, you know, benefits for these levels of people. So stay interview has actually helped, and also the consistent pulse, quarterly pulse survey we conduct in the organization also helps. So you talked about engagement. In one of the results that we had, people said they wanted to play, that the work was too much, so they want to
Really?
play. Yes, and so we started watching Netflix movies, even in the office. We started going out to cinemas. We started playing games in the office, just 1-2 hours within the work week, within the work day, working hours. We got approval to do that, and
Yeah.
so people will go back to work. And so from the feedback, you ask them, okay, how do you feel about this? And people were excited. And it cuts across the different levels too. We tried that in 2021 and 2022, and we saw the improvement. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for this. I mean, I hope we heard what she said. It's not about stay interview. Traditionally as HR people, what we do is exit interview. When people are leaving, then we sit down with them. Oh, what can we do better? But she's talking about the fact that they are proactive. And I think that's the level that we all have to get to, the level of proactiveness where we are able to say, okay, what will make people stay? And I like the fact that she said people made suggestions and they were able to get approval for them, and people are happier for it. Thank you very much for sharing that. I don't know if we have one more person that would like to share how you are addressing this great resignation, as they called it, in your own workplace. How have you been addressing this? One or two more, only one more person because of our time. Do we have just anybody that wants to still tell us about it? Whether you want to drop in the chat box or you want to just talk. Like I think Boo. I hope I got the pronunciation right.
Yes.
So I don't know if there's any other person that wants. Okay, thank you. Any other person that wants to share as well? Please, I'm waiting. If you'd like to share, or you want to drop in the chat box, how you've been addressing the case of this great resignation, as they've called it, as the HR people have termed it. Anybody else? Okay, it seems we are very conservative people here. We don't like sharing our stories. Okay, I think that's fine. So maybe just because of our time, I believe I'll still come back to host for more questions. But I would like to just take a little detour here now. So I'm looking at the sustainable approaches to retention, which is part of what Bubu has shared before now. So part of it that we have here, we have ethical leadership, we have employee well-being, that's to be well taken care of. We have diversity, inclusion, and ability. Then we have continuous learning and development, stakeholder engagement. I mean, you can't overstretch all these things. Stakeholder engagement is what Abu mentioned earlier when she talked about the fact that they do quarterly pulse survey for the employees to test the pulse of the employee. What are they thinking about the developments in the organization, right? Of course, continuous learning and development, everybody wants to grow. Then diversity, equity, and inclusion. You don't do favoritism, you don't do nepotism in your organization. These are things that make people stay. So these are just some of the sustainable approaches to employee retention. So I want to change our focus a little from focusing on employee retention and the likes. But I'm now thinking of it from the angle that what if people will say go? I want us to think about that, especially now that a lot of people are moving out of the country. I remember last year was quite massive for almost all organizations. You are having people resigning and resigning. Although for we as recruiters, it was good business time for us because people were coming to us. So then, if you find yourself in a situation where people keep leaving and it seems as if you are not able to keep them, in spite of all the solutions that you provided, I would like us to focus on two different things now. The first one is you have to learn to create a value-driven employee-employer relationship, a value-driven employee-employer relationship. And second one is to build a strong alumni network. So for the value-driven employee-employer relationship, the way to go is this. Number one is that you have to make sure that your performance management system is strong enough, which means that even if I come into your organization and I'm leaving in the next 2 months or 3 months, you are able to actually measure what I've done in 2 months or 3 months. Most of us, our appraisal systems, our performance management systems are quite porous. What we do is that we do yearly appraisal systems. And you agree with me, for HR people that are here, a lot of us don't like that part of our job, which is part of appraisal, because you don't like it. It looks stressful. You have to sit down with manager, sit down with employee. But you have to create a system that works for your organization, and you don't have to wait till the end of the month, at the end of the year rather. You can be a monthly feedback session before you do the final appraisal. in quotes, what we call the yearly appraisal. You can have the quarterly sit down. You can have the monthly sit down. You can have different structures so that you're able to monitor and measure the performance of people. Even if they are living in 6 months' time, the 6 months that they spent with you, you are sure that your organization is able to get the best value for the salary that has been paid within that period. The second one is setting both short-term and long-term goals. Now that we know that this generation of employees that we have now, they want to leave. It's hard to see anybody that will tell you that they want to stay in an organization for 30-something years now. Unlike our parents, generation before us, who most of them stayed where they were for 20-something years, for 30-something. But nowadays, people want to stay 5 years max, have moved, 6 years max, have moved. It was surprising to me to hear that even government officials are resigning now to join private. I mean, this was not heard of before. So we have to learn how to set short-term goals. As we are thinking of the long-term goals for the employee, we are thinking of short-term goals too. What we expect of them in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, knowing fully whether they can wake up one day and say they are going, not necessarily because of better offer. It could be many things, right? And also too, we should encourage strong manager-employee relationships across the organization, which means that we have to encourage our managers to have good relationships with the employees that are working with them. With this, the employee is able to open up to the manager when he's having issues. It doesn't need the HR to come and set up a meeting to discuss it. With this, you'll be surprised that you actually keep some employees that would have left if you had left the manager to just handle the employees on their own. So as HR people, even as managers that are here, it's important that we build that strong relationship with our employees so that we can know what is happening with them part time. So with this, you are sure that even when people have to leave, at least for the time that they spend with you, you're able to get the best results from such relationship and such employee. Then the next one, still talking about the fact that people are living at a very high rate now, and there's little that you can do about some of them. For example, someone that has made up his mind that he has a family, they are traveling to Canada or to UK. I'm not sure there are too many things that you can do to keep such person, right? So what we can look at as well is, can we build a strong alumni network? How can we ensure that our alumni network is strong enough? And what does this do for you? It does something for you because you know that maybe last year you can do your analysis for your organization. Maybe 6 people left your organization last year. The question I will ask you is that the 6 people that have left your organization last year, are you still in contact with them? Do you have a platform where they are engaging you, where they are engaging the organization? Why? Because these guys, because they are leaving, they could be very crucial to the future of the organization. It might not be immediate. It might be a long-term strategy for your organization. For example, now they can be knowledge, they can be used for knowledge transfer because they are good at this thing before they left the organization. You can always bring them in as consultants who can come and train the new crops of employees that you have within your system. Of course, they can also be your brand advocacy. There is a chairman of a commercial bank in Nigeria that recently, earlier this year, he had a reunion engagement with the past people that worked with him like 20 years ago, 30 years. Some of them are doing very well for themselves. But you see, they came back together. Those people are going to be the brand ambassador for that organization because they work there and they are proud that the company that they left still remembers them. In my own organization, what we do is that every birthday for every of the people that have left us, then we design a card for them, we send it to them, we congratulate them. Why? Because we want to make sure that we are still in their face and we are still in their mind. So that's the question I will pose to you. Have you been able to build the alumni network for your organization? And what will you do next? And of course, they can serve as referrals and recommendations. They might be the one that will refer clients to you and also to recommend your organization. So this is something that I think we need to really look at. The fact that we know that people will be leaving, whether we like it or not, people are leaving at the high rates and people might keep leaving. So we must ensure that we have a strong alumni network and also ensure that we have value-driven employer-employee relationship. So while I round up, let me just quickly mention a few organizations that we all know. These are, strong, well-known organizations that have strong networks. We have Google, they have a very strong alumni network. We have McKinsey and Company, strong alumni network. We have Microsoft, they have strong alumni network. Even within the space of Nigeria too, we have some organizations that are coming up with strategies to make sure that people don't leave and forget the organization. And let me tell you one of the biggest things that can even happen to you. For organizations that are seeking for international business, the fact that you have people living, traveling abroad these days, they will be the ones that will recommend you to organizations internationally. So you have to ensure that you keep this at the back of your mind. So in conclusion, I have here that employee retention is key for the growth of any organization, and it should be a priority for HR teams in organization. However, with the rate of turnover, high turnover rates right now, organizations have to also rethink their approach to employee retention. This is not time to start fighting people because they say they want to leave. This is the time to rethink how you are proactively approaching it. And the case that they have to leave where you cannot stop them, how are you taking advantage of the fact that they've worked with you before and they are going to maybe a bigger organization, a bigger space, so that you look back at the organization years to come and you are happy with yourself. So I think that will be all from me. So I thank you very much for listening. I think we'll move to question and answer session now so that I can take your questions. And if you have contributions as well, just like people who has helped us earlier with the story of our own organization, we'd like to hear. And if you have questions, please, this is the time for us to ask our questions. Thank you very much.
All right, Adewale, thank you for that impactful session. So just as Adewale has said, if you have any question, you can please raise up your hand and just and we'll take your question. Or you can use the chat box. No, just type in your questions there. I'll read it out. So 5 minutes. So we have 5 minutes to take questions. Anybody? So again, you can raise up your hand to ask questions, or you can use the chat box to ask your questions. Any question, any contribution, any comments? All right, if we won't be having any questions, I think we'll be moving on now.
Okay, I think someone has raised up a hand.
Okay.
Who has raised up a hand? Yes.
Yeah, who has a question? You can ask a question.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, hi.
Can you?
Okay. Yes, thank you again. Okay, so my question is around engagement. Part of the things I did was to get the team leaders or managers to be involved with their team members, do a check-in with them, maybe before every weekly or bi-weekly meeting commences, just be friendly, tease them, find out about their families. However, after a period, I also did a random check and found out that majority of the managers were not doing that. That is engaging their team members, because I understand it also helps in retention. So my question is this: what other options can be used in, making the managers engage more with the team members? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that question. So I think the approach I would take to this is to create a structure around it, because let me ask, how did you communicate this? Is it that you just encourage them, or there's actually a structure on how they are supposed to go about it, and there's a report to be gotten concerning this?
Okay, so there was a structure. First of all, I had a session with the managers to tell them, what should be done, the aim and the benefits to them as also managers and to the people and the entire organization. So that was a structure we had. And then I checked in on them from time to time. I mean the managers and of course the team members as well, so that that I'll have balanced information. So that was the structure I created.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So I think what I would suggest is that the structure can be reinforced, which means that it could be properly aligned to what it should look like. Because you'll be surprised that if you have one-on-one with those managers, some of them don't even know how to go about this. Some of them, they dread having one-on-one conversations with their team members. Yeah, you could be surprised when you speak with them. So I think the best way is to have a proper structure on how it's supposed to be, not to tell them what to ask or what to say, but in terms of how many times they should meet, how many, what the meeting should be like. Then when they are sending their monthly report, I don't know how you do your reporting in your organization, but when there has to be a reporting system where they are meant to report this and this and this. And if your organization permits it as well, you can also consider getting reports from the employees as well. Like I said, not all organizations are wired for that, because some organizations, you don't want to let the employees, I mean, depending on what your organization, what your structure looks like. But I think what will work is there should be a structure, what number of times they should meet in a month, maybe just one meeting per employee in a month. Meanwhile, or maybe one general session with all their employees in a month. And then a structure of what the meeting should look like. Because you'll be surprised that when you discuss with certain managers, some find it very comfortable to gather people and talk. Some find it comfortable to have one-on-one conversation, while some don't. But when there's a bit of structure on or a written guidance to them on how it should be, I believe it will really help. And when they know that they have to report it, nobody wants to fall short of reports. I mean, that's in organization. So that will really, 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 really help. I don't know if that can help, but that's what I can think of at the moment. And I believe that it will really help.
I'll try that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adewale. We have 2 questions in the chat box. So Aime is asking, how will you undo an employee who is blackmailing the company with registration, with resignation, because he has special skills and replacement will be difficult? So that's the first question.
Okay.
Do you want me to read the second question, or
okay, let me take it. Let me just take the first one so that I don't lose my trail of thought.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Dayo. Okay, so Amari, okay, I could see that. So for this, I think what you have to look at concerning your organization, your succession plan, right? I think there's a need to, since you know that this is the reality, especially for organizations that are in industry where you have specialized skills, where nobody can just jump in and jump out. Your succession planning has to be very strong, which means that you must have a plan for exits. And if this employee that you are talking about has done it more than once, more than 2 times, I think it's time for you to rethink your approach to response to that employee. And the best way to approach it is succession planning. So how do I make sure that this, as this employee is leaving, there is someone that can take his place, or the role that he or she is taking within the organization, I'm already splitting it among different people, so that when he or she is leaving, it's easy for someone else to come into the system, right? So I think it's very critical. Either you start thinking of having a talent pool on ground, or you bring in someone junior who could learn from that employee within the time. Then when the person says he or she is going, then you push the person away. But beyond this, I will not encourage that you use the intimidation or all those things. It's not necessary. What you should do, like I said, is have a strong succession plan in place in your organization, so that when anybody says they want to give, yes, you might still feel the impact of it, but at least generally you are sure that you would manage till the other person gets back to their feet. I hope that answers your question. But so that's what I think, succession planning.
All right. Thank you, Adewale, for that. So now we have the last question. Why do HR have to wait until an employee says he or she is leaving before doing the right things in terms of employee welfareism?
So yeah, I was laughing as you were reading the question. I started laughing because this is like a general question that a lot of us have, especially here in Nigeria. But what I realized is that also, it's not a for different organizations. There are different ways they approach issue of welfareism, issue of salary of employees. But for most organizations, at least generally, maybe I will try to defend my HR here a little. A lot of times too, is not always on the table of the HR. And sometimes the HR actually wants to make sure everybody is happy, but he's not the final, he's not the one that will decide. He still has to take it to the higher level, which is maybe the board in some organizations, some organizations the management level, some organizations the CFO has to do the analysis of what the increments in salary or whatever it is would mean to the bottom line of the organizations. You also have to look at what's the goal of the organization. There are a lot of factors to look at when it comes to this, right? The organizations that the reason why they've not increased their salary and the likes is because they have a target for the year, and they believe that that target for the year must be met because the board is on their neck for it. So I'm not making excuses for all this, but these are some of the reasons why you might see HR people dragging their feet when it comes to increasing salary or maybe doing better in terms of compensation and benefits. So I don't know if this addresses a little, but this I don't know if you want more, but this is the response I can give to your question, Remileko. Yes, that it's not necessarily about the HR. Sometimes it's the business itself, right? And then them trying to make sure that they balance their books. So thank you. I don't know if we have any reaction to the to my responses, and if we have any other question or any contribution as well.
Okay.
Do we have any other contribution? Okay, there.
All right, yeah, our time is fast spent. So yeah, my colleague has just posted something on the chat box. So kindly, let's use this few minutes to fill the feedback form, so we can know. It's very, very important to us to know how the session went and how we can improve. So just take out 5 minutes to fill out this form. It's just very short, not more than 5 or 6 questions. Thank you. And also, you can see the link to our social media pages, our Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and the like. So just follow us so that we can keep you updated on our services. We are so glad to have you. We're excited to have you, and we look forward to seeing you again. So before this meeting ends, so we'll just implore you to click these links and access the form, access the link, access the social media pages, and do the needful. Thank you everyone for joining. It's a privilege to have every one of you here. Thank you. All right, so please proceed to fill in the forms, and proceed to liking us, following us on our social media pages. So please, let's jump on it. We have like 3 minutes more, and then we close the session. We close this webinar. We have 3 minutes more. Let's just jump in. We have just few questions on the form, so just attempt them as quickly as possible, and then we close the meeting.
Good morning. I don't know if you can hear me. So
yes, we can hear you.
I just want to ask, because I joined very late.
Yeah.
I only met the Q&A session, so I don't know if the recording session is going to be available.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the slides and the recording sessions will be sent to you. Yeah, of course.
Okay, to our mail, right?
Yeah, we'll be sent to your mails. Yes, you get it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And apologies for the beginning of the training. We had glitches, and we're glad that you stayed despite this glitch happened. We are glad that you stayed, and we hope you enjoyed the webinar. So again, we look forward to having you on the next one. All right, we have no more minutes. Please, let's be sure we've filled the form, and let's be sure that you've all followed us on Twitter, on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and the likes. Yeah, thank you. All right. So this is this 12 o'clock. We'll be ending this session. So thank you all for joining. Again, it's a privilege to have you. We look forward to having you again in the future. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.